I just wanna be free with my people to prosper and hold it down. Don't you sit and wait, contemplating on a revolution. The time is now. I just wanna be free. 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 Can't you see? I just wanna be free. I just wanna be free.
Okay, another episode of the Things I Wish I Knew About Money podcast. Whoa, it's episode 7. I'm your host, Camille Smith.
I'm your co-host, your boy Dre. Your Camille says episode 7, and I feel like I'm in heaven. Holy.
That becomes a big shout out.
Yeah, before we get in any serious discussion, big up our host Camille. It's her birthday weekend.
Whoa!
And party all weekend is my understanding.
I only partied one day. Let's just say I only partied one day. So anyone that shouted me out, blessings, thank you. The messages, the attempt of a surprise was appreciated. It means the world to me that, my closest friends from different parts of my life was able to enjoy it with me. So blessings.
Big up. The virtual party was everything. And when Camille says it's a one-day party, guys and girls, she means it starts Friday and done Saturday night. So that's one day. Once you're up all day and all night partying, that's one day. All right, but the virtual party, the DJ was everything and the vibes, and that was my first virtual party, and I actually think it was amazing.
Yep.
It was pretty good.
So big up Cleve, for doing it big, big up. And also big up our listeners. We're now at 200, over 200 listeners on Anchor alone.
A lie.
What? No lie. Yes. So So I guess some people, listen to the podcast for my birthday. Thank you.
Nice, good stuff. That's a good birthday gift.
Right. And I also wanted to big you up on your book launch. The books are finally here. So whoever wants to get a book, it's now on Amazon. If you want a signature, just hit Dre up personally. All right.
Yep. It's here, and the book launch was pretty good. It went the way I envisioned. We had two DJ in the house, DJ Lee and DJ Slomo, and them shelled on the thing. DJ Slomo actually built a song for my financial literacy program, which was pretty cool, and he literally did it in about 1 to 2 days, I think. And DJ Lee, amazing, very talented guy. It was definitely good, and I love the support. Really appreciate all the support and love, that people continue to show me and us in everything that we do. So as Camille said, the thing up on Amazon. So go check it out. The book is titled "Living Purposefully Beyond the Walls of the Ghetto," and you'll see a little description of the book there. If you want a signed copy, you have to get that through me. So you can contact me directly on Instagram. My IG name is Andre Love. So ANDRELUV.
Yes.
All right.
Waiting for mine,
Yeah, man, it'll come, man. And it'll come with the bottle of rum and the red label wine. Everything will come in a one package. So make sure we send everything in a one. So just make sure, so when you come, you have your chaser and your glass and everything, and you just drink while you read.
Oh man.
And
I'm not drinking.
turn up the vibe.
Oh shucks. So let's see. I wanted to do a little recap on Rsp a little bit because I had a lot of people discuss it with me. So basically Actually, no, I don't even want to do that because the thing that we're gonna talk about today is going to wrap up with um, the RSPs and the tax-free savings. Because I think what a lot of people don't understand is the difference with the tax-free savings account and
Yeah.
the RSPs, which is the registered retirement savings plan. So that's a lot of people ask, like, oh, which one should I use? Which one should I use? And the answer is always depends on how much you make.
Yeah.
Right?
Depends. Yeah. Always depends.
Yeah, because a person, and no diss to anyone that's making ideally are in the first tier of the tax bracket, which we mentioned last week, it's advisable that you should hold off your RSPs and then use the tax-free savings if you actually want to start
Hmm.
saving and stuff.
And one thing I actually want to add to that, because that's a good point. So here's the thing. Um, Utilizing your RSP doesn't necessarily mean that you can contribute. You can still contribute. When you actually file your taxes, you can ask your tax preparer not to claim the RSP contribution. So that RSP contribution will go over into unused contribution, and you can bring it forward to future years and use it when you're making more money. So don't think that you can't necessarily contribute. You can still contribute, but just when tax time comes, if you're in the lower tax bracket, you can ask not to use that contribution, right? And that might sound a bit weird, but if you want further explanation, we can explain it. But once you haven't asked your tax preparer or on your own, you haven't utilized the RSP, it goes over into an unused. It's kind of like a reserve for future use. Right? So you can still contribute, but not use the amount. And a good way to do this is to see if your contribution has any effect is to just play around with the numbers in the software or online. Like I say, they have a Rsp calculators, so you can literally put in your income and the amount that you intend to contribute to Rsp and see if there is any potential tax savings. Right?
And I thank you for clarifying, especially the contribution, like passing it over to the
Yeah.
future. Also, important thing to know is that the RSP is for anyone that is actually working. So with the tax-free savings, it's a little different. You have
Right.
to be a certain age, but with your RSPs, you can actually start as soon as you start working at a grocery store when you're 15, 16,
Mm.
and people start to match your pension and stuff. You could start using the RSP from then, so you can feel a little big. And,
Exactly, from right there and then. And I was looking online at the RSP contribution limit.
mhm,
So how it's established is it's 18% of your earned income. So just like Camille said,
mhm,
one of the requirements for RSP contribution is that you must be earning an income, right, or employed
yes.
for the most part. But it's 18%. So whatever it is that your earned income is, it's 18% of that amount to an
Mhm,
annual maximum of 26,500,
mhm,
right? So for 2020, the dollar limit though, I think that was 2019 number. For this year, the limit is 27,230.
oh man.
So I'll give you some key. I'm going to look at a technicality right here. So this is one key difference. We'll go beyond like what the people generally say about RSP and TFSA.
Yeah.
But with the RSP, one of the primary differences, I mean, there are many, but when you contribute to your RSP, right? So let's say it's year one and you earn the maximum contribution of 27,200, right?
Mhm,
And let's say you contributed 25 grand in year one. So that's the majority of your contribution limit. Let's say in year two or year three, you withdraw the money from the RSP. That room, even though you take the money out, you do not get back that contribution room because you already use it.
jeez.
So However, with a TFSA, if you withdraw the money, it's almost like it resets. So you get the room back. So if it is that your limit was $6,000 in year one for the TFSA, and then you withdraw, you put the 6 grand, and then you withdraw the money in year two, you get that room back.
A lie.
Yep. Yep.
And you know what? I remember when the tax-free savings came out, because it's not as, we'll say, old as the RSPs. Tax-free savings literally started like 11 years ago. So
Yeah.
2009.
2009. Yeah, you're right.
So a lot of people were like, what is this? This doesn't make sense. Like, I could put, so there's times people would use their tax-free savings as like another savings account, which is fine. But if you understand what a tax-free savings is actually utilized for, you would understand why you don't just constantly take out money from that, right?
Right.
Even though you have that contribution limit, and I'm about to tell you guys the number, because I was actually reading it again, and I like to always give you guys some stats, some facts, especially depending on your age. But to go back to what I was saying, so say someone, what was it, 5,000 the first year?
Yeah.
People would put 5,000 in, and then take out 2,500, and then try to put back that same amount, and it doesn't work like that. You actually have to wait till it restarts, or you actually will be penalized.
Yeah.
And I know people get annoyed with those type of stuff because they're like, oh, well, I want to control my stuff.
Yeah.
Is this how
they're thinking that they can just withdraw the money at any time and not, it wouldn't be seen as an over contribution kind of thing.
No, but it is instead.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
So just for people that are 18, let's say 18 to, no, I'll just start it throughout the whole thing. So if you are 18 years old as of 2020 or 2020, I'd like to say, it's 6,000 that you have total contribution. If you're 19, it's 12,000. If you're 20, it's 17,500. If you're 21 years old, it's 23,000. If you're 22 years old, it's 28,500. If you're 23 years old, it's 38,500. If you're 24, 44,000, 25, about 50,000. But let's say numbers: 49,500, 26, 54,500, 27, 59,500, 28, 64,500, and anyone over the age of 29 and above, it's 69,500.
So they would have the maximum contribution rule.
Yeah.
Came about in 2009.
Right.
And I think the rule is it's somewhat similar to with your immigration status, because if it's the time you become a resident.
Correct.
Of Canada as well. So if you weren't a resident of Canada in 2009, let's say you became a resident in January 1st, 2020, then you'd have to wait until 2021 or so before you can get that.
I actually seen a conversation that someone was looking at the contribution limit, but had issues with immigration and wasn't actually qualified for the full amount.
Right.
So if you guys have any questions like that, feel free to ask us or ask another certified accountant to see if you're actually able to have the full amount, because that's really important. You don't want to pass it out.
And especially for immigrants, because it's not a case where you just come in and you're 29 or 30 and you automatically get the full contribution limit. If you weren't, you had to be, part of the criteria. So there's one, the age, and then there's the status. You had to be a resident of Canada.
Yes. So I was away for 2 years, right? You know, I was gone a time when they had the $10,000 limit. And I actually don't qualify for it because
Oh, that's what they said?
yeah, because I'm considered, I was non-resident at the time in Canada itself. So I'm, you know, I have a bitter moment about that.
That's
But
interesting.
I
What did
gotta
they
double
say?
check because
Yeah.
I remember looking, I'm like, oh, I can't even put anything in. Like I could put something in. It's just that they don't see me at the top tier as everyone else. So that kind of sucks.
That's
And
interesting. I would probably challenge that decision because I know,
mm,
in Canada, your tax is based on residency. It's not based on your immigration status like the US.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, and then in order to establish residency, the CRA usually looks at primary ties and secondary ties.
mhm.
So if you were still a student, your place of residence is still here, your family ties is still here, all of that, then it could be deemed that you're still a resident. So if it is that they deny your contribution limit for that 2-year period, then I mean, I don't know if you can still object now, but uh,
I mean, it is what it is. Like,
it is what it is. Lose the 20 grand room.
I mean, I don't want to lose that much, but as of right now, I look at my contributions on my CRA online account,
Mhm.
and that's how I'm able to figure out what amount I have left. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And I was about to say, I know we're mostly talking to our Canadians, but any Americans that are listening, our RRSPs is similar to your 401k, and then our tax-free savings is similar to your the Roth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just if anyone's listening, they're like, I don't understand what y'all guys are saying. We're finally having it for Canadians because I don't know how many articles I've seen where they talk about Roth and 401k, and
Right.
I don't know what they're talking about until I had
Yeah.
to educate myself on what's the difference. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to, reel you Americans in as well, just to have a better understanding. And I think it's the same concept because
Yeah.
our limit for 2021 is again going to be $6,000.
Yeah. Government need money after giving away the serve and everything.
Right? I
Um,
think, yeah, because usually ever so often they'll increase it by 500, but they
mhm.
didn't do it this time. So hopefully next year, 2022, um, we'll have 6,500, hopefully. And
And any unused, both the TFSA, and I don't know if we said it, but TFSA is tax-free savings account. I think you may have said it,
mhm,
Camille. But if you've not utilized the contribution room, so if you got that 6,000 contribution room and you didn't utilize it, it gets carried forward,
yes.
right? So it accumulates.
So
And the
just
same
like
thing with the
the
RRSP.
yes. Um, and the RSPs doesn't determine by age, it's determined by when you actually started working.
Yeah.
And you can find that on your notice of assessment. So guys, I know there's some people that love to have cash jobs so they don't claim stuff, but try to claim as much as possible so you're able to actually disclose that and have a bigger RSPs, because in the long run, you want to utilize both things. And I think the reason why they started with the tax-free savings is because there's a lot of the rich people didn't have enough places to put their income, so they wouldn't have to pay as much tax.
Mhm.
So ideally, the tax-free savings was to help the higher income individuals, but it also helps lower income individuals to save as
Mhm.
well. And here's a joke, because I've been hearing this for a while. They call it the tax-free savings account, but it's actually not used for savings. It's a tool to use for investing.
Mhm.
And And it's funny because like for the longest time, I'll say personally, for the longest time, I use my tax-free savings as a savings account. So I would take it out and then, not really utilized by buying mutual funds or ETFs and all that stuff. And it's not until I think when I came back from Korea and then actually started like looking at investing and stuff, I was like,
Yeah.
why don't I actually use this money to invest and they ain't gonna charge me? This money is already so money in your tax-free savings is already taxed ideally, and then you want to once you take it out or put it in, it's tax-free after that. Like they're not going to charge you again on anything that you made from your tax-free savings, which is different from the RSPs because the RSPs are a tool to help you make your income lower, as we mentioned last week. It's these are two tools to help you save for retirement and to invest and also just get a higher income. When the reason for these is to literally for your retirement, right?
Yeah.
You kind of want to think about your retirement at the end of the day. Like
Yeah.
if I put this much in and and my portfolio that I have is a decent portfolio, like let's say 10% or whatnot. Wait till you retire 30 years from now.
Well, I can't think about when I think about portfolios. I threw egg in the fridge right now. Maybe I threw it earlier. I'm on breakfast, but anyways. Yeah, no, I agree. And those are some salient points, Camille, especially about the effective, you have the effective and ineffective use of the TFSA. And it's just like you said, if it is that you're putting money in your TFSA that's already taxed, and you're maximizing your TFSA using money that's already taxed, then that doesn't make any sense. The TFSA is not for savings.
Yeah.
Although it says a tax-free, although it has the word savings account in it, it is not a savings account. If it is that you want a savings account, you're better off opening a regular savings account. And if you look at it, because where is the money coming from that you're putting in the TFSA? It's coming from the vast majority of people, your salary. You already paid income tax on your salary. You already contributed to EI and CPP from your salary. So that is after tax income, right?
Yes.
And so if you're putting that money in the TFSA, of course, there's not going to be any tax.
Yes.
So you want to put a certain amount of money in the TFSA, but you want to put it in the vehicle. So, right, so as Camille says, the TFSA is a tool. Now, these different investments like mutual funds, stocks, etc., those are vehicles. When you think about vehicle, it helps to take you at a certain point or a certain place. So that vehicle is going to help your money to grow to get from the $1,000, the $1,000 that you put in to 5,000 or whatever the case. So that money is essentially, as people that say, make your money work for you. So your money is not working for you, and whatever work that your money put in, there's no tax on it, providing that you don't over contribute.
Yes.
Right? So if it is that you're opening a TFSA, the best use of that TFSA is to invest in either mutual funds or stocks or whatever. And then the Rsp, as Camille said again, it's an effective tool to plan for retirement. And a lot of people will say, I'm going to use my Rsp to avoid paying taxes. You don't avoid taxes with an Rsp. You defer the taxes, right? So I want to put that out. It's a tax deferral method, meaning when you contribute today and you use that money to lower your taxable income. Your taxable income is the amount of income that the CRA will tax. So when you use that RSP to lower that amount, you effectively are saying, I'm moving the tax from today and I'm putting it into the future. The idea behind the RSP is that when you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, right? So that's the idea. Not true for everybody. Some people start make more money when they get older, right? But the idea is that you're going to earn less and thus pay a lower tax. And so when you start to withdraw from the RSP when you retire, that's when you're gonna pay tax, but at a lower tax bracket. So
Yeah.
it's important that you understand the difference between the two. And just like we said at the beginning, is that if you want to decide which one to use, it depends. I
Mhm.
mean, it's good to have, it's okay to have both of them,
Yeah.
right? You can have both.
You can.
There's nothing that says that you can't have both, right? But at the end of the day, you need to understand how they each work and what they do, right?
Exactly. And I know you mentioned it before. Guys, whoever does use the RSPs throughout I'm going to say March 1st to December
Yeah.
31st of this year, you now know an idea of how much you've used. You want to go back to your notice of assessment and
Yep.
see how much left you're able to use, and also plan ahead, as you know, tax planning,
Yep.
to plan ahead and see how much more to add to your RSPs, just in case, for before March 1st, I'm going to say, for 2021. Um, darn it, I wanted to say something else. Also, an example for like people that make more now. I was going to say 100K, but let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. Okay, so let's say you're making average person. Actually, let's go based on average income, and doesn't mean that this is everyone. It's just average income overall, guys. I'm not trying to make anyone feel shameful, because yeah, okay, average income is 52,600. Okay, so someone that, depending on how they plan their taxes, they might be taxed during the tax season. It depends on what their story is, right? So they would use a tax deferral a little bit, let's say 5,000, to bring their income to 45,000, sorry. So they'll be in a different tier and they won't have to pay back as much. So when they retire in a couple years from now, they're either going to be still, they can either be still at 50,000 a year, or they can, because they're older, their house is paid off, hopefully, and all that stuff, they're
Right.
okay with 35,000 a year. They can
Right.
live
Right.
off, I don't know who can, but don't worry. It depends on how you structure your life.
Yeah.
You'd be able to live off 35,000 comfortably, because ideally that's the money you're taking out from your RSPs.
Hold on, they say live off 35,000. Which part am I gonna live? Kitchener or Sault Ste. Marie or some? Not Canada, not Toronto. Yeah,
Not in Toronto. Not in
35,000 left for rent alone, Toronto.
not in Toronto. Maybe you guys go like outskirts, you know? Actually, hold on. So this is your RSP's income that you'll be receiving. So let's say you take out $35,000 from your RSPs, but it was switched to RIF. So that you'll be taxed at a different rate. But hold up. Remember, we were talking about tax-free savings account, right?
Right.
So what you're going to want to do, ideally, when you retire, is take out a portion from the RIF, because it's going to switch to that, and then have a majority of your money coming out from your tax-free savings. And guess what? You're not going to be taxed on that. So if you guys start thinking that way, like planning like ahead, utilize both, fund it equally, and you guys could take out actually the same amount. You could take out 35,000 from the RSPs and 35,000 from your tax-free savings, and look, boom, you have $70,000, and you're not even being taxed on half of that. Guys,
Yeah, and I mean, and the cool thing, especially when it comes on to like even, buying a place or funding college, because those are the two ways that you can withdraw. And talk a little bit about withdrawal. So,
Yes.
as you know, there's penalty if you withdraw early from the Rsp, and the penalty is very high, and it's dependent on the amount, right?
Yes.
But there are two ways in which you can withdraw from the Rsp without penalty, and that is if you're a first-time home buyer, or if you are withdrawing to fund higher education, right? So the lifelong learning program, and so it's so those are the two ways you can withdraw without penalty. But of course, you need to show proof of either buying a house. So you need to show what's that thing called again? The purchase form or whatever they call it. So you get like a purchase request when you're buying a property. So you'll need to show that to verify that you're buying a place. And I think for school you probably just need an acceptance letter, confirming. But and then you are able. What happens is that I believe one of them you have 20 years to repay, and the other one is 15 or 15-10, something like that.
So,
I think for the yep.
Sorry. So the home buyers plan, the HBP, that is a 15-year.
15-year.
Yeah.
So what they do is if you took out $5,000 from your home buyers plan, it would be $5,000 divided by 15, and that would be the amount you need to repay each year.
Yes.
And the lifelong learning is 10 years. So if you took $5,000 from the lifelong learning program, then it's the $5,000 divided by 10 years, and that's the amount you need to pay per year. Now, what happens if you do not repay either of these? That amount gets added to your income each year. So, I mean, if you're in a lower tax bracket, it might seem not too much, but if you're already in a higher tax bracket, or this amount added to your income is going to tip you over to a higher tax bracket, then you definitely want to be more mindful, right? So that amount will get added to your income each year if you do not pay it, right?
Yeah.
The Tfsa, on the other hand, it's a bit more flexible because it's also for emergency use. So you can withdraw from the Tfsa at any time. There's absolutely no restriction on withdrawal. So you can withdraw from the Tfsa at any time without penalty.
Yes.
All right. So I just want to put that out there.
Just don't try to put back that same amount if you've maximized your contribution.
Yeah. I think there's a time period for, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think there's a time period after which the amount will be considered. So like, let's say you put, I don't remember the exact time frame, but let's say you put the money in November and then you withdrew it like December or something like that. I don't remember. Yeah, then that's when it doesn't get reset. But I think if you do it before a certain time, then it will reset. I have actually a pretty good article on that I used in one of my Saturday sessions.
Yeah.
And share it with you. And it did all the math. I just don't remember all the information off the top of my head now. But there's a method to the madness that you can kind of play around with the dates. But you have to be careful, just like Camille said.
Yeah. The idea is we want you guys to start thinking about different ways to use your savings or investment accounts. And this is just a little tidbit on to introduce you guys to things that you guys have been asking. They've been begging.
Exactly. And before we'll close off, and I have like 3 terms that I want to share. But we'll talk a little bit about the wine. So I'm actually drinking wine early in the morning, which I don't usually do. But crazy enough, when I came to study at U of T in 2010, I believe, I don't know, I think it's 2009, 2010. My uncle, his friend, was, working man, but he does barbering for like select people on the side.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just remember I used to walk by his place and go in his basement and get my hair cut because like he was like the only barber that I know. Yeah. And so he heard about my book launch recently, and he sent some of the wine that he made. So he makes homemade wine. He's not selling it. He just shares it with family and friends. It's actually pretty good, and it's very strong. So we just want to big up Everett for the wine. Nice bottle of red wine. Never have no label on it, but the thing says somebody said a bottle of wine without label. You think say, Lord God, what am I saying? Catch me, them I send on the bottle, but Everett still and whatnot. But I drink the wine, sip on it. It's already what 9:30 now. I feel tipsy, but I appreciate it. But yeah, the three words I actually want to share in terms of taxes, and we're gonna talk a lot more about taxes in the future and about other things.
Yes.
But the three words I actually want to share with people, and we do this for the youths them so that can expand the knowledge in the terms in the sense of the things we should know about money.
Yeah.
Because when people think about money, them think about the physical piece of paper, the $10 bill or the $5 bill. Money is more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And as I can see, them I come with cryptocurrency. So if you're all going to Jamaica and tell a youth from Spanish on cryptocurrency, like what the hell is that cryptocurrency? What name so? You can't tell them say money that. Anyways, so tax planning. So there's tax planning,
Yes.
there's tax avoidance, and there's tax evasion. So tax evasion, I got send you to prison. It's illegal.
Illegal.
Right? So tax planning is perfectly legal. So a contribution to Rsp would be a tax planning strategy. CRA, the government say, tax planning methods, these are things that we give to families and individuals to plan to pay lower taxes. And there are many. We've only talked about a few now, but there are many. Tax avoidance, on the other hand, is where the gray area is. So it can either be a planning or evasion. Now, in the middle, the CRA use what they call GAR, which is General Anti-Avoidance Rules. And there's a whole list of things that they go through to determine whether or not it's a planning strategy or it's a direct attempt to evade taxes. And if they decide that's a direct attempt, so you probably fall on the evasion side. But I want you, as you listen to this session, to keep those words in those three terms in mind. And we want you to start tax planning, right? So as the holiday come up, you need to plan and figure out what you're gonna do for pay less tax, but also what you're gonna do throughout the year to make more money. And then you can tax plan, or figure out if you're leaning toward avoidance side. A lot of people will say, you know what? The best strategy to avoid taxes, and I hear people use the word avoid tax, is to get a cash job. No, a cash job is not a tax avoidance. It's not a tax planning. It's tax evasion. And it's evasion on the part of the employer and evasion on the part of the employee.
Yes.
All right. So I'll put that out there.
Yes.
As I sip on my glass of wine, but I don't have no mic for drop, so I'm just sip on the wine.
Thank you for saying those three things, because at the end of the day, we don't want none of y'all to get, into that circumstances where you get audited or you get jail time.
Right.
Big fee. No, sir. Don't you guys want to keep your money?
Exactly.
And if you're doing it, please don't tell me. I do that. I'm like, don't tell me, please.
Me don't know. You're lucky I said don't tell me. Me don't know them, so them not gonna tell me. I don't know you to begin with. I'm gone.
I'm like, no, please. I don't want to hear these conversations. I feel obligated. So, what's another thing? So to wrap up, guys, is a tax-free savings account and an Rsp is just tools for your retirement, in a sense, and to help you guys start investing and stuff.
Yeah.
So I know you guys are gonna be like, oh, so when are you guys gonna talk about that? We're just, give us time. We're gonna talk about everything, but so ideally we're gonna talk about everything and then even bring other people on to school us and get some tips and stuff.
Yeah.
So just another.
And I know everybody's excited about the investing part, just like you said.
I know.
Discussion about that. But the one thing we say about investing, I'm gonna tell you this. I value education, but may I tell you, learning how to invest is one of the best things I've ever done for myself.
Absolutely.
It's one of the best things. I mean, it's a whole language by itself, but when I actually look at it, I say, why everybody not learn this in a school? Why them not teach this from what do you call it over here? Elementary school? Why do not teach it from in Jamaica we call it primary school, but
Yes.
the term.
No worries.
Why them not teach this to the youth them from early?
All right.
right? So yeah, we have a whole heap of things in store. We're gonna continue talking about money. And you know, as the podcast, the title, Things I Wish I Knew About Money. It's a brilliant name. So big up Camille for come up with that, because the idea that Camille had in mind was to let people know that money is far beyond the little dollar bill where you get. Money is more complicated than that. And because we don't know about all the complexities of money,
Mm-hmm.
we tend to make a lot of mistakes or continue to pay the price. You know, Albert Einstein says, you know, those who don't know the power of compounding interest pays it. Those who know it earns it. And that can be said for about money in the sense that if you don't know about money, you lose it or give it up. But if you know about it, you attract more and you keep
Yep.
more. All
Yes.
right.
Like the law of attraction too, right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go, the law of attraction.
And also to talk about the compound interest. Um, this is something I always talk about. Rule of 72. So the rule of 72 is basically because if you know with the banks, and this is why
Yeah.
we talk about with your tax-free savings, the banks, how much, what's the percent of the bank giving us these days?
Nothing.
Not
Probably less
even,
than 1%. Not even 1%.
not even 1%. Like what? I seen an email from my savings account and they're like, oh, we're so sorry to inform you, but
Mhm.
your interest rate has gone down again.
It gone down, it's supposed to go up.
I'm like, what is happening? Why is it still going down? I don't understand. So let's say you kept a savings account in your bank. That's 1%. Divide
Yeah.
that by the 72. So 72 divided by the 1%, it will
Hmm.
take you 72 years to
Ooh,
double your money.
no, sir.
That I don't know about you. Maybe I do plan to live long, but 72 years from now I'm going to be 100 odd.
Me no know that, yeah. And yeah,
So
that's a long time. Make one little money.
right? So ideally what you want to do is think about um uh tools that will give you a interest rate of 6% and higher. And I'll say
Yeah,
that 6% and higher,
higher.
because you'll be able to double your money quicker
Yep,
than the 1%. And I'm
yep,
not even gonna say like what the average they always talk about is 6% and stuff.
yeah.
And there's, depending on how you do or how you plan accordingly with your investments, you could probably do that in less time. What?
Listen, in no time, like I started investing for my son because I wanted to make the money grow. So while he grew, the money grows. So you know, say school and them thing they pay off. And I invested in Disney in I think it was July. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember when. I think it's either July or August.
Yeah.
Now in December, and it's up 41%.
What,
No, no
Johnny?
one, you tell me which part
41%?
you'll get 41% in a what 4 or 5 months. No way. And there are other investments out there that I've seen and I've recommended
Mm-hmm.
that's more than doubled now since the
Yeah.
time I recommend them. So
And
you
guys,
definitely want to figure out how to make your money work and grow faster.
mm-hmm.
Right? And investment is the best way.
Exactly. And then with the Disney, because it's up that much percent, if you think about the rule of 72 again, less than 2 years, the money's gonna double.
Right.
So by
That
the
would
time
be nice.
by the time he reaches 18, he's balling. So
Am I
you
gonna reach out to me by the time I'm 18? No, no, this can't go on. I mean, I've worked so hard my life. No. I have to put a stoppage to this. I have
don't
to
worry,
put a stoppage.
you'll have him putting money towards it and everything, when the time comes. Yeah, so I just wanna thank you guys again for listening. And I believe this is not our last time that we're going to be talking about tax-free savings and RSPs. And this is not even going to be the last time we talk about savings, because there's just so many other ways you can save, especially if you think about like emergency funds and everything.
Yeah.
So big up you guys self. Like once again, subscribe, share, comment, do whatever. Follow us on Things I Wish I Knew About Money on IG. Oh shoot, we had wait. We had a comment the other
Oh,
day.
yes, that's right. From
Yes.
Sian.
Sion, right?
Yeah.
Big up yourself, Sion. Oh, I did not want to forget. Hold on. I did not want to forget. So I am going to give anyone shout outs if you comment and everything. So if you have comments and you want to say stuff and you want to be known, you have to tell me or I'm not going to say it. So here it is. Hi, Camille. I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know how great the podcast with Andre has been or have been or has been. I've shared with several friends and family members. I'm definitely excited for the additional podcasts you've planned. So thank you so much.
Yeah, big up, Sian. We appreciate
Hold on.
the feedback.
Let me do my my airborne or air horn. I have to do it every time. So big up yourself, and everyone. Actually, there is people that do come back to me and have a discussion. So I do appreciate you guys having a discussion. But if you guys do have questions, feel free to hit us up on IG, or we do have an email address. It's at IG. It's too long to say it. It's too long to say it. So, another great episode. And if you guys have questions, you know what to do. Just link us up. And now,
All right.
time for
It's a wrap.
time for the music. Time for the music. There's the music. Oh, there's the music. Hold on. Here's the music.
If I want to be a friend killer, don't believe in a friend killer. Family, I'm easy family. Below me from all them to me heart. The earth one of them real kill it to the end. They promise